Welcome to the Difference Makers, the show that empowers you to live to your highest potential through stories, tips, and strategies from world-class leaders who can take your life to the next level so you can achieve your goals and dreams. Hi, I'm Lynn Sanders, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Today's topic is very special. We're going to be talking about miracles from a couple who have experienced many miracles in their lives. Albert Einstein once said, there are two ways to view your life. One is though nothing is a miracle, and the other is though everything is a miracle. Can you imagine that? Experiencing everything in your life as a miracle? Well, you're about to meet a couple who can give you their insights into their experiences of living life as a miracle. You'll meet Barry and Joyce Vissell, who are the founders and directors of the Shared Heart Foundation. And you're going to be learning through them from their newest book, which is called A Couple of Miracles. One couple, more than a few miracles. This book has been praised by renowned leaders, and it's a really powerful memoir of a great love story filled with drama, adventure, betrayal, forgiveness, and healing, all wrapped in grace. Their stories will be an example for all of us to grow in awareness and love. And so, without further ado, I want to introduce you to a very special couple, Barry and Joyce Vissell. Barry and Joyce, thank you for being here.
Hi, Lynn. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm really glad you're here. Let's bring you on here. So tell us, you're in your book, which I've been enjoying reading, your latest. You've done 10 books, and you've been married 59 years with 3 children. So you have so many different credits in your life. Let's start out with the story of the miracle of how you both met. I love that story. And in an unusual university, Hartwick, and you've even brought out the meaning of Hartwick. So I'd love to have you share that story first, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Barry. But
you should share the
we've
9.
actually been married 55 years.
But
55,
together.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Barry.
Well, no, because it really, the story starts at age 9.
Right, that's right.
Okay,
Go ahead,
so
tell us.
You should tell your part.
All right. So we're both from the East Coast, from New York State. I grew up in Buffalo, and I had really good parents, but they also didn't understand my sensitive nature, the deep feelings that I had. They wanted me just to get good grades, and that was that. But I also had all these feelings, and I felt so alien. Like I felt like I just didn't even belong in this world, which I'm finding out a lot of children do have that experience. And anyway, one day I was sent to my room because I was crying. I was having these feelings again that my parents didn't like. And it was, so I was 9 years old. And it was at that time that I had my first experience, my first divine experience. Mm-hmm. And I felt I didn't see anything, and there was no loud voice. There was nothing unusual, actually, but there just a message came so deep in my heart. And the message was, right now, there is a boy growing up who will know how to hold you when you're crying. And you will recognize him. He'll be tall with dark hair, and he will be on his way to becoming a doctor. And that changed everything for me as a little girl. I knew that someday I would meet someone who understood and could accept these deep feelings that I have.
That's beautiful.
So that's like the beginning of it, of this.
Yes. Before I share my part, are you seeing both of us?
Yeah, I'm wondering if you can get closer. I'm
okay, so are we cut off?
A little. Joyce is there now. You're together.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, because there's a little screen that shows both of us, and then there's another screen that shows us cut off.
Right. I want you to. Yeah. Normally
Okay,
people have their own screen. That's
No.
adorable. Yeah, stay together so you get all your face together.
And that's not a problem. We love to be close. We love to be close.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
love that.
the
Go ahead.
miracle, my miracle story. I mean, yes, all of life is a miracle. It really is. But knowing this story from Joyce when she was 9 years old, I mean, imagine getting such specific instructions, that you'll recognize him because he'll be tall, dark hair. My hair was much darker back then. And
Mhm,
he'll
mhm.
be on his way to being a doctor. I mean, that's really specific instructions, right?
Right.
Yeah. So knowing this story after we were together, I actually asked my mother if she remembered when I decided to become a doctor. And she said, strangest thing, it just came out of the blue. You were 9 years old and you announced it.
Wow.
Nine.
Yes.
But then another 9 years passed and we were 18 and I was in finishing high school and I was rejected by all the colleges that I applied to for pre-med, every one. So I didn't have a
Amazing.
place to go, and it was the end of the spring of the senior year of high school, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And a man who I actually think was an angel
That's
showed up
nice.
at our high school, and I was called to the principal's office, and he took 5 minutes to explain that he was representing Hartwick College, right? I do love that name,
Yes,
Hartwick,
Hartwick.
right? But and he said, if you want to join us at Hartwick next fall, sign here. And he took a pen out of his pocket and he pointed to the table, and there was an application all filled in with personal information. Who does that, right?
Right, right.
And I didn't even think twice about it. I just realized I was 18, right? I figured, okay, colleges go around and find kids who didn't get in, right? And I wasn't even that good of a student because that's another story.
Right, right. That's right. But that is so unusual that someone would come up, and this is all in your newest book too,
Yes,
which
it
is
is. It is.
so amazing.
Okay, but
And
anyway,
go ahead.
he gave me the pen. I stood there for a moment and I remember this moment so clearly. I said, wow, this is a big decision. Can I have some time to think about it? And I remember him saying, sure, take a moment. But I didn't even take a moment. I just signed because I figured that's what's going on. I'm going to flow with it, right?
Right.
But it wasn't until I got to Hartwick and I went to thank the administration at Hartwick for sending their scout that they told me they never do that and they have never done that. They
Wow.
never recruit people,
Wow.
and they have no idea who that person was. No idea.
Oh, gives me the goosebumps when you even
Oh,
say it.
it still
So
gives me the goosebumps all these years later.
yes, it's so
But I,
beautiful.
but these miracles happen, and I realize now that there is a very big plan in the universe. And the plan for me was to meet this one right here. Okay.
Exactly.
And I needed to be guided to Hartwick College where Joyce was.
Exactly. I think our world needs to hear your stories more than ever right now because all we hear typically is negative news. So we're not going to be able to cover all the stories in your book because there's so many wonderful ones. But I wanted to have you also pick highlights, and I wanted to skip to ahead now in time to the fact that you both were in the medical field. Barry, the psychiatrist, and Joyce, the nurse psychotherapist. How did you decide to suddenly change your life and create Shared Heart Foundation? And I don't know which question would be first, but I want to ask you that as well as how you got to know Leo Buscaglia, who also changed your life, the great teacher on love, who also I got to correspond with. And that's how the miracle of us meeting
That's
is through our
right.
love of Leo.
Oh,
That's
So,
right.
so
I
which
think that
came
would
first,
be
Leo or your decision to change?
absolutely, absolutely Leo, because we were only 24 years old when we met Leo. Barry was a medical student in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was working in public health. And we were pretty, I don't know, we had never experienced, we're pretty ordinary people. Well, let's just put it that way. And
Straight.
yeah. And we were invited to this party, and we went, and Leo happened to be there. He was a friend of the host, and he had flown in for a conference or something. And we'd never, ever in our 24 years of life experienced a human being like that, who was so radiant in his love. And as soon as he met us, he gave us both a big hug. And we'd never, except for hugging each other and our parents, we'd never experienced a hug from anybody else, because people didn't hug then. What year was it? It was like
1969.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It was
On the
early.
East Coast,
On the
right?
east, on the East Coast. And so that was amazing. And meanwhile, Barry wanted to transfer and go to a different medical school. So he decided on he just
Oh, that's better.
I just switched to having you full screen. I want to be able to see your faces. Go ahead.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, that's better.
So he chose a school in Los Angeles and went to interview. And on the do you want to take over with that? Yeah.
On the flight back from LA to Nashville, I happened to, I mean, there's a kind of a funny story too, but I happened to sit next to this man who we got talking, and he said that he's helping a USC professor enroll. He's starting a master's program, and he's selecting 10 individuals who want to work under Leo Buscaglia, but he didn't say the name. He said it was a professor from USC. And I said, that's interesting. We just met a professor from USC in Nashville. His name was Leo Buscaglia. And this man he lit up, and we got talking. And I said, and by the way, my wife, Joyce, is really wanting to further her education and perhaps get a master's degree. And just like that, he looked at me and he said, okay, Joyce can be my first student.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I had a desire for about a year to go back to school, but I was supporting Barry in medical school, and it just didn't seem possible financially. So not only was it a full scholarship, but also they gave me living expenses. And because Barry was basically my dependent, I got a little more so we could live and I could go to school. There were only 10 students, and that year was so extraordinary. It completely changed my life to have all that contact, like 5 days a week with Leo. And so I mentioned earlier that my parents didn't understand my sensitivity and my feelings, and I thought I was handicapped as much as a person could be blind or deaf.
Mm-hmm.
And Leo was the first person who saw that quality in me as beautiful.
Oh, wow.
And he would often, in many different ways, say, I love your sensitivity. It's so beautiful. I love how deeply you feel. And of course, it was in his Italian way of so deep and enthusiastic. But those were like words that I needed to hear so much. And it just, I was part of his love class, and he was teaching love in the most beautiful way.
There's still people here who have not heard, believe it or not, of Leo Buscaglia, because he's been gone for some time. And if you wanted to make a mention of who he was to so many people all around the country and probably the world, and how did that impact your lives as you move forward in your careers?
Well, Leo left USC after maybe a year, after the program that I was in. And because they didn't want him to do his love class. They, USC is a very academic university, and they didn't want him to, that was a big embarrassment to the university. So he left and he started writing his first book. And then gradually he went on to teach his love class all over the country. I don't know about Europe. I'm not really aware of that. I know that his books went into Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that whenever he spoke, there's 8,000 to 10,000 people.
Wow.
Whatever was the venue, it was packed. He became so popular, and the country learned how to hug. I mean, believe it, people don't understand this, but it was really because of Leo.
One man.
People,
Wow.
people started hugging each other.
Yeah. I mean, he was so well known and so popular that at one point, 5 of his books were on the New York Times bestseller list at the same time.
Oh my goodness!
Never in the history of the United States or the New York Times bestseller list has there ever been an author with 5 books.
That is amazing.
For a good long time.
Yeah, right. So meanwhile, there's a documentary being made about Leo. You know about that, maybe?
Yes.
And
yes, you're going to be
we're part of that, right? So
as far, can I just
yeah,
share?
yeah.
So Barry was in psychiatry. We had moved to Portland, Oregon, and I was a psychiatric nurse working with children, but especially for Barry working with adults, so much of the treatment was drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And our experience with Leo, like the open heart and love, we just couldn't go with that model. And I think it was at that point that you said,
that I had to transition out of traditional psychiatry to really what we're doing now, which is working with people on a so much deeper level, on their soul level, and it's so much more fulfilling what we do now.
Yeah, I'd like you to now talk about, there's so much to talk about what you do now, as well as the stories in your book. So let's take a moment since you're talking about your careers now, to talk about what are you doing now that help people heal at a deep soul level?
Yeah. Well, one of the things Leo taught us was how to be truly vulnerable. Okay, to really accept all the parts of ourselves that we usually try and hide. Our insecurities, our weaknesses, our fears. To be out in the open, and that has impacted us so much. We, in our workshops, we help and encourage people to be really vulnerable, and that is like magic. That really sets miracles into action, because when one person is vulnerable and real, it helps everyone to be really safer, to feel safer. And in that safety, healing in the deepest way can happen. Opening to the deepest love.
That's so beautiful. Is that how you came up with your byline in your foundation, the changing the world one heart at a time? Is it because of the ripple effect that by changing one heart, you're changing the world?
Absolutely. It's like It's a Wonderful Life, the movie, right?
Yes, exactly.
One, every little thing affects so many people, right? Yeah. So if one person opens to love, it just, it goes out like ripples. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So I see how your work is really an expansion of Leo's work. Leo was on Channel 11, and you could watch lines of people waiting to get a hug from him at the end of his speeches, which is so powerful. I would like you to share some of the amazing miracles that you described in your book, because there are people, I think everything in life is perspective, and I'm sure there are people out there who don't believe in miracles. who don't believe in a bigger plan, and they could be persuaded perhaps or opened to miracles by hearing some of your stories.
Mhm.
Which
Yeah,
could you even pick a favorite because you've had so many?
I know.
Um,
There's
what
so
would
many.
be some of the stories that you would like to share from your book?
Go
No, go
ahead.
ahead. You go ahead.
No, actually, the one that comes immediately to mind is a story that when I was hiking on Mount Shasta, and I was walking through a meadow. And there was a little stream, and as I was walking, there was a man lying next to the stream, right in the sun, and my first impression was, he's maybe he's taking a nap, or maybe he's sleeping, or maybe he's meditating. But there was a little prompting inside to go and sit with him. And I didn't, when we get these promptings, they're all need to be listened to. But how
Hmm.
often do we get a prompting like that and we make up so many excuses not to? Like, my excuse was, I can't possibly go sit next to him. He'll think I'm crazy. He'll think I'm picking up on him or something, right?
Mhm. Right.
Or bothering him or invading his space, right? But in the end, it was so strong that I went and I sat inches from his head.
Wow.
He opened his eyes and sat up and looked at me, and right away said, I was lying here getting ready to kill myself.
Ah, oh my.
And I was praying, if there was a God, send help for me.
Oh my.
Send help. And there I was sitting next to him. And he looked at me, he said,
Oh,
this is too much of a coincidence. I now know that there is help. There is a God. There is something bigger in the universe. And we spent a half an hour together, and we were hugging and crying, and it was beautiful. And he no longer needed to kill himself because he got his answer.
wow.
And I'm
Wow.
feeling, how often do we get these promptings? Like, you'll be sitting and you'll get a prompting, call so and so, and you'll say, oh, I don't want to do that. I'll do it tomorrow. But you end up calling, and they really need to hear from you.
Hmm. And
So
someone needs to hear these words that you're saying right now, Barry.
I know, I know, I
Yeah.
know.
Wow.
Listen,
So,
listen to these promptings to reach out.
yes. How about
Do
you, Joyce? Can you share one of the many experiences that you've had
Um,
or
yes, of
you both
course.
had?
I mean, one pretty amazing one, which we started the book out with,
Yes.
was in 1989. We had just given birth to a little baby boy, and we had two little girls also. And our where we live experienced this huge earthquake. I'm sure probably the media coverage was enormous because a lot of people died, freeway bridges collapsed. It was a very, very big earthquake, and we were in our little house, which was very poorly made. It was a rented house, and the foundation was very, very poor. And the house started to slide down the hill. It actually slid 7-9 feet
something like that.
down the
Yeah.
hill.
Hmm.
But what also happened is that Barry and I, with our new baby, were in the bathroom. I was giving him a bath, and the propane tank outside, something happened, and the propane started shooting into the window, into the bathroom window. So there was this propane in the bathroom in the house, and the miracle was that, you know how if a furnace, there's always a pilot light that's lit year round.
Right.
Somehow that went out,
Yeah.
because had that little pilot light still been burning, the house would have exploded
Yeah.
in flames,
Yeah.
because our
Wow.
little girls were also in the house. And that that's just a miracle that the five of us, because the house was completely destroyed, completely.
Yeah.
Wow.
There were doors and windows and everything was,
Yeah.
You can imagine the worst photo. And we made it out of that house.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
that's
you.
a total
That's so powerful. And everything around you was destroyed. I remember
Yeah.
you describing
Yeah.
that in your book.
Yeah, there were 5 houses on the little road that we lived that were completely. It was a big earthquake,
Wow.
and we made it. We made it out.
Yeah,
Amazing.
but we were trapped in the bathroom, and like Joyce said, the propane was filling the bathroom. I ran to the window to close it. It was jammed. I couldn't close it. And so the whole bathroom was filling with propane. We were
Oh.
coated with gas, and we realized, I couldn't get out of the bathroom either because everything was jammed. The house was, like that, right? And the doors were like, we couldn't get out of the bathroom. And I realized
Wow.
one more minute in that bathroom, we would be dead. We would asphyxiate from the fumes.
Oh my.
And I don't know how I did it, but somehow I became a human bulldozer, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
I bulldozed through everything to get out and to get our girls and to get out of the house.
Oh, I'm so
Before-
glad you made. Obviously, you were meant to get out of there.
Yeah.
I'm
know.
curious. Let me ask you, what inspired you to write this new book? One couple. I'll put this back up on the screen. One couple and a couple of miracles. One couple, more than a few miracles, because you've written 10 other books, and I'd like you to, if you wouldn't mind, if you remember the order of all your 10, probably like 10 children. If you could just let us know your other books and what propelled you to move forward with another book.
Well, the other books focused mainly on relationship. The first book, the shared heart, was all about relationship. The second book, Models of Love, was all about parenting.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to write a book that, excuse me, wasn't about relationship necessarily, but was about miracles, because we know that we have experienced so many miracles, but we don't feel that we're unique in this. We feel that everybody experiences miracles. They just perhaps don't put their attention to it. Things happen, they're like, oh wow, and then they and then they forget about it. But if people could put their attention on these miracles, they would see how deeply loved and cared for we all are.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Seeing life in a new way. So you wanted to share the miracles so people could start paying attention to the miracles around themselves and recognize them.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And plus there are elements of our miracle stories in all of our other 9 books, right? So we figured, we wanted to make this like a whole story, like one story, stringing together all the miracles. And it was a lot of fun to put together this last one.
Yeah. Excuse me.
It was very brave, two of you, to be so open in this book, because it's totally open, everyone. I mean, this is not like sugarcoating anything. They share everything about their lives,
including the difficulties. Yeah.
So
right.
I wanted to share that Leo, we really can thank Leo for that, because he, so as a student, one of the most important books that he wanted us to read was, what is it? Why Am I Afraid
to tell you who I am?
It's a short little book by John Powell. And the whole essence of the book is that if you want to help someone, if you want to get to know someone, let them know you. Let them know your feelings, your fears, your vulnerability. Just be totally open. And that's what will create a safety for people to also share their deepest feelings. So that's how we've based our work. And it I really feel that Leo he lives on in us all these many years since we've seen him and had that contact. His spirit and his feelings about love live on in us, and
Yes.
our work is very much affected by all
Yes.
that we learn from him.
Oh, it's so beautiful. I want to repeat the name of that book. Why Am I Afraid to Know You?
Why am I afraid to tell you who I am?
Oh, to tell you who I am. And that's
John
by
Powell. John Powell's a
Powell.
Jesuit priest.
Yeah,
Right.
that's so, you know, at school you have textbooks and stuff. They're usually really boring. That was our textbook.
Oh, I
And
love it.
It was kind of a book where there's just one sentence on each page, and you could read it easily within an hour. But the message was so profound.
Yes. Why am I afraid to tell you who I why am I afraid to tell you who I am?
Yes.
Did I get it right? Yeah,
Yes.
because if you think about it, most people live through life with a lot of superficiality. How are you? And they don't really care to stop and really find out how you are. So
Right.
let's move forward to how you're helping people open up through your retreats, through your workshops. Tell us about Shared Heart Foundation.
Well, we do two different kinds of retreats. One we just finished a few days ago, and that's for couples, and for couples to really open up to the deepest love that they have. A lot of couples come in and they just forget they're kind of existing together. They forget that deep connection. And then we also do retreats for people, and this isn't about being a couple. This is about your own personal growth, and opening your heart, and healing, and really being all that you can be.
Yeah. And I have a retreat. I have a retreat coming up next month for men. Okay.
Oh, wow. That sounds interesting.
Helping men to go deeper into their feelings, which men need. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then something else we do, we started in the pandemic because people weren't coming to retreats. So every week we record a 10 to 15 minute inspirational video talking about some theme, and I'll sing one of my songs at the end of the video.
Yes.
So that's a service that we give now, and it's every week still.
Well, you can feel free to sing it now if you'd like. I would love to hear your song. In fact, we have a gift. Everyone listening here, I didn't mention at the beginning, is going to be able to access a gift from Barry and Joyce's website. It's sharedheart.org, right?
Oh,
So would you share with us the song that you have in your heart? Here, let me give you full screen here for 1 second. Go ahead.
No, actually, what I'd rather, because sometimes on these videos, it doesn't work so well, you know.
All right.
Singing. But what I'm encouraging you to do is on our website, sharedheart.org, you can go there and you can download a free album that our son and I, and Joyce is part of it too, that we created. And there's like 10 songs. You can either download them or listen right there for free.
That's beautiful. And what will those?
And also sign up for the free videos that we put out every week. You know, a short little message that will inspire you.
I love that. So I put up on the screen, I'll do it again for everyone listening. Go to sharedheart.org to access videos and songs that Barry and Joyce have to give to you so that you can get inspired to make a difference and get connected from the heart to others. You know, you've given so much, and I'm so grateful to connect with you. You know, I just had a pen pal relationship with Leo. I think you may have known that or not, for 3 different times.
Yeah.
But I was just one of many, probably millions of people who got to experience him from afar, and you've got to be right with him. And so now you're here, the spark, the heart with the wick of this flame going out into the world. I love that. And I would like you to offer a message for all our listeners of what you would like them to remember about themselves or about others that can help them be aware of the miracles in their lives?
Well, just I think part of our life's work, all of us human beings, is to realize how deeply loved we are, and it's not from another person. It's this divine love that we are deeply, deeply loved and cared for, and along with this, to live our lives in gratitude and see the miracles that happen so often, and feel just this deep gratitude. Yeah, I think that would be for me. How about you?
Beautiful.
Yeah, for me, it's the same, but it's also what I shared before about the opportunity and the privilege and the power we have to touch another life. Like I shared what happened on the mountain, right, with this person who was going to kill himself. But it's more than that. It's knowing that even just one little appreciation that we can give to another person, letting them know we love them, letting them know how important they are to us. These things change the world. Okay, it is like a ripple effect.
Yes, it's so beautiful. People who are not conscious of the power of their words are just living, I think, in a subconscious level. And I think the beauty is you are bringing people to a higher level of consciousness to listen to the words within their heart, the messages, right? So that they can speak those messages and uplift our world and save lives even.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
And
Shared heart.
thanks.
So I want to thank you both so much for being there, and recommend that everyone check out sharedheart.org and the newest book that Barry and Joyce have put together. I'll put it up on the screen one more time. A Couple of Miracles. One couple, more than a few miracles. And this is a younger picture of the two. I wanted to show that so people could see that you've been together for a very long time.
Yeah.
Bringing love into our world. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Lynn,
Yes.
thank you for what you're doing. You're making a real difference in the world too.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, we all need to go forward with our dreams, right? And I'm just grateful to connect with beautiful people like you both. And I look forward to finishing your book, and I recommend everyone get that book. It will help you change and recognize the miracles in your life. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
All the best to you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.